Never Mind the Buzzwords is a community event from Jigsaw Better Business. Taking place bi-monthly, its aim is to build a community of businesses and professionals where you can learn, share and connect. It's about going beyond the jargon and coming away from each session with knowledge, tangible tools, tips, strategies and hopefully an extended network. Each event is focused either on people or a process. In the process sessions, we talk about how we deliver value in our business. Topics here include lean tools and thinking, operational excellence, sustainability, and digital transformation. In the people sessions, we look beyond the process to the who, discussing topics like leadership, teams, culture, and professional development. Never Mind the Buzzwords isn't just an event that you attend, it's an event to participate in. So get involved in the conversation, put your camera on if you can, share your thoughts, ideas or questions in the chat or feel free to unmute yourself. And don't forget to stay in touch. We have a LinkedIn group where we upload resources and recordings from this community. And if you follow Never Mind the Buzzwords on Eventbrite, you'll be notified whenever we post a new event. We are following on from last month's session on making your workplace an even more attractive one. And we had some really great discussions in last month's session. If you missed that and you want to catch up on it, Veronica will just pop the link to our YouTube playlist into the chat, and that will allow you to see any of the previous recordings there. I'm also going to do a quick little recap. So again, don't worry too much if you missed last month. And then after I do that quick recap, I'm delighted to get to chat to Emma O'Gorman-Wall from Crown Roofing to learn a little bit about her experiences and how her company achieved the Great Place to Work recognition. So I'm just going to open the waiting room so that people are able to get in easier. Okay, perfect. So just as a very quick recap for anyone who missed last month, or just to remind you because it was a whole month ago, we were talking a bit about attracting and retaining talent, which seems to really be a topic that I think so many companies are working on or dealing with, regardless of what size of a company, regardless of what sector you're in. It's really something that it is challenging. There is a lot of change going on. So the job market at the moment, it is very competitive. It's very candidate driven. A huge majority of employers are planning to recruit this year, and a majority of employees are planning on changing jobs this year as well. So a lot of change going on. Last month, we discussed why that might be. There's obviously a variety of reasons that are unique to each individual. A common one is pay. Some people are kind of chasing inflation and rising living costs. There's also then a bit of a desire for change. Might have wanted a bit more stability during COVID, and now we're kind of coming out of that and we're wanting maybe a bit of variety or novelty. Some people are leaving as well because of very rigid policies of we need you back in the office, and some people have gotten used to the remote working and they prefer that. But we've also seen it in the other sense, people saying, oh, okay, my workplace is now completely remote and I don't really like that. I want to be around people. And so I suppose any kind of rigid policies are sometimes making people rethink where they want to work. And as well as that, any kind of toxic culture or poor leadership, again, that's kind of always been the case. Those things always contributed to people choosing to leave jobs. But I think now, especially that there is so much change, people are definitely thinking, okay, I could do better than a poor leader or a bad culture. So we spoke a little bit about attracting the best talent, about maybe being creative with how you write the job role or what kind of candidates you look for. Maybe it's not just the typical candidate that you've always looked for. Maybe it's thinking outside the box a little bit. being clear in terms of what the person will be doing, what they'll be paid for it, and having that really good onboarding program as well. So making sure that, you know, there's a good level of contact with the person, especially in the first 6 months. And we talked a bit about retaining the best talent. So things like continuous learning. Again, we don't want people getting bored or getting too embedded in their routine. So offering them opportunities to learn, offering that flexibility where you can, again, listening to them and figuring out what do they really want from work and trying to tailor it in that way. Rewarding and recognizing the employees that you have, you know, even if it's, you know, not just kind of saying, oh, you met your target, well done, but also, you know, oh, you tried something, you had a great idea, and even if the idea didn't work out, still recognizing the effort that they put in. And then also promotion opportunities, but as well as that, you know, not everyone wants additional responsibilities, you know, not everyone wants to go up higher in their career. So offering those lateral career moves is also really a valuable way to keep people engaged and to retain them. So that's just a very quick overview of last month, and it really feeds in then to what we're talking about this month. Building on that, I'm delighted to be joined by Emma from Crown Roofing. And I just, to introduce Crown Roofing and Cladding, I just took those figures from the greatplacetowork.ie website. So we can see really high levels of approval coming from the people that work there, you know, saying about good management, and that physical safety is there, and that, you know, talking about management's actions to really actually understand people. So you're very welcome, Emma, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I suppose to start off, would you might tell us a bit about Crown Roofing, like, you know, what kind of products and services you provide, or how long you've been in business, things like that?
Okay, sure. So hi everyone, and thank you for inviting me to be part of this discussion. My name is Emma, and I'm the COO and owner of a company called Crown Roofing and Cladding. For anybody that doesn't know about construction, we basically specialize in the building envelope, which is everything to do with the outside of the building and the roof. So that's our specialist area. We were set up in 1993. It's a family business. So today, myself and my brother Owen, we own and we run the business. So we bought it from a fairly small enterprise, you know, €6 million turnover up to like 50 million turnover over the last 10 years. So it's grown exponentially, and we've had all the challenges of a growing business, and, you know, legacy issues and all sorts of different things that we had to deal with to get it where it is today. So I'm happy to share with you guys our journey and our challenges and what we've learned along the way.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Yeah, that's fantastic to see that growth that you've gone through. And obviously you were awarded the Great Place to Work. How many times did you get that again?
So this year, it's our third consecutive year to get that great award. So our great recognition as being a great place to work. And it doesn't mean that like you're just a great place to work and that's it. It means, you know, that you're on a journey, and you're all the time continually trying to make it a better place to work. So it gives you a lot of feedback from the employees as to what they think, and honest feedback, good, bad feedback. And then we take that feedback and each year we improve what we do. So I think it's a forum for the employee to like really, you know, get in under the skin of what it's like to work here. And it's anonymous, so the survey results go to Great Place to Work. They don't come to us, and then they basically sit down and go through all of the results with us. So it's just been a journey that we've been on for the last 3 years, and it's worked very well for us, because when people see that Great Place to Work badge, they have the confidence that, you know, we are a good place to work. So it's been a great attraction for potential employees to come to us, and it gives us that edge definitely over most of our competitors.
Right. Okay. So is it a lot of work to get that kind of that recognition or that award?
It is. Yeah. No. It hasn't been easy at all. It's been quite tough, and even, you know, when we first went down that road, it was even to try and get like people to actually do the survey, because obviously we're, spread across 9 different countries right now, and even to try and get the staff to actually complete the survey was quite challenging. And we had to do a lot of work, initially, and please, can you do this, and try and explain, and the communication had to be very clear. So now when the survey comes out of here, they know what it is, and they're like, okay, that's fine, and there's not as much of an issue. But it has been a challenging journey, and even just to take on board what everybody is saying, and to honestly take a good look at ourselves, and then to try and make it better, but it works. It definitely works.
Yeah.
And
what would you say, say for example, the first year that you went for it compared to now, are there any sort of changes that you've made, or any kind of challenges you've overcome there?
Yeah, I suppose in the last 3 years alone, like, our turnover and our spread across Europe has grown as well. So like, the company itself has also changed. We've become more departmentalized, with various different departments and various different department heads looking after various different parts of the company. So the roles and the jobs within the company have become more clear cut, whereas as a smaller company, you were kind of maybe doing a little bit of everything. But now roles have to be very clearly defined, and everybody in a way has to stay on their kind of path, but at the same time know how to collaborate and share information across the whole company. So we have a huge admin and sort of mobilization team at head office here that try and make everything work and bring everything together, from the project teams to finance to commercial, because there's a huge amount of moving parts. So as a company, we've changed massively over the last 3-4 years, and with that, then we constantly take the feedback from Great Place to Work and try and improve on everything that we do. So
okay, so
we haven't stayed the same since we started our Great Place to Work journey 3 years ago. The company has changed, so we've had to be very adaptable to everything that's happened to us. Every time we go into a new country or a new territory, it's almost like setting up a new company with regards to the legals and the compliance and all of that. So you have to take all that with you, and you have to try and embed that into the teams. And yeah, it's challenging.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And you mentioned there that you're in, many different countries, and that there's many different departments. So it kind of sounds like they're quite distributed teams and
very, very fractured. They can be very, very fractured teams. So just the communication, you don't always see everybody. So the communication is difficult, and it can be difficult to get to everybody. So the culture in our company is great. Like, it's based on our values, our core values of excellence, compassion, adaptability, and integrity. But as the company grows, it can be hard to get those values out into the site teams, right down to the site operative level. So as much as possible, we try and have touch points with them. Myself and the other directors will go to the sites, we'll talk to the guys. But we need our staff, like our other managers, to be trained to do the same as us. So we're on a journey at the moment where everybody is receiving a lot of training, how to manage people, how to delegate, how to listen, how to do performance reviews, all of that. So we're constantly trying to, like, from the top down, trying to make sure that everybody is trained to a high level, so that we can all, fit in, that everybody knows how to encourage the good culture and the listening, and listen to the staff and get the feedback, and just basically make it a good, positive place to work.
Yeah, so because I imagine a lot of people on the call, maybe over the last couple of years, have changed in terms of maybe becoming a distributed team or things like that. And so yeah, that's interesting what you're saying about the continuous training and improvement, as opposed to, oh yeah, I did that program 5 years ago.
Yeah,
it's kind of nearly not quite obsolete now, but it definitely needs to be continuous.
It's definitely continual. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we work with a very good HR company that actually help us do that. So and we do try and do the training in, like, not heavy day-long training, like bite-sized training, so they can do an hour or two, every couple of weeks, rather than very, very heavy, like, training programs that go on for days, and that then they return to their jobs and they realize that they have 500 emails and that they have this. It's not enjoyable then. So we've bespoke the training to fit in with their roles and their responsibilities, so that they can still get on with their day job.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because yeah, you don't want it to be this additional burden. Sometimes companies are like, oh, go and do a stress management course, and then they've
Yeah,
taken up your whole week, and then you're trying to
exactly.
deal with that afterwards.
Well,
Yeah.
construction is quite, I suppose it's quite different to a lot of other industries in that no matter how organized we are, because we are working for, we work for the likes of Amazon, for Google, for Facebook, and for main tier one main contractors. So we're very much answerable to them. So we'll have our plan and our program, but they'll say, okay, you guys have to do this now. So it can be quite reactive, and what you might have planned for the day may not actually happen because the guys are being moved from this place to that place. We have to keep the client happy, so we just have to do that. So it's not like they're all our staff are going to an office and sitting at a desk. They're very mobile, and they're constantly, some of them are out on site, and it's kind of a dynamic enough workplace. So we have to respect that and try and fit any training programs in around that.
Yeah, and that sounds like quite a challenge, because I think naturally a lot of people like to, know what's coming next and like to have the plan in place. But yeah, dealing with all that change and reacting to it sounds like it'd be challenging. How do you or help people or ensure that they're able to deal with all that?
Well, basically, we on site with what we do, we're always working for somebody else. So we're always answerable to another higher company, be it the contractor above us or be it the end user or whatever. So we have to take a lot of I won't say abuse, but we have to be able to deal with being spoken down to, because in the construction team, we might be the kind of the lowest, we're answerable to so many people, so many other companies above us. So we have to build resilience within our teams for them to be able to deal with that, because the pressure is always on, and we do a lot of very mission critical, fast track projects, and the programs are just unbelievably tight. So there's a huge amount of pressure will come on the teams in a short space of time. So we've done a lot of work around resilience and trying to build the guys and the ladies, build the resilience up so that they can deal with it. We're doing a program with them at the moment called I Am Here. I don't know if any of you have heard of that, but it's a mental health program which started in Australia, and they actually started with the miners in Australia, trying to build the resilience and trying to prevent depression, because these type of jobs can be very, very sort of repetitive and quite dull. So at times, so we try to build. That's an excellent program that everybody in the company has done, to try and highlight, when it's okay basically not to feel okay, and what you can do if you don't feel okay, and how to have your resilience toolbox there. That's worked very well for us, even though the guys will never say that it's worked well. The engagement levels and the stats and everything are really, really positive. So we found that has really helped, and also trying to create a culture of trust. And if you're stressed out, put your hand up and just tell us, and we'll sort it out. And at the end of the day, our main aim is for everybody to go home and to do their work and to go home. So trying to give them that work-life balance. It can be very tough though with our business. It can be very tough because a lot of the site teams are away working on European projects, and they're working for 3 weeks, they're home for a week. So we just have to keep a really, really close eye on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned there about the kind of preventing depression or burnout or anything, because obviously, prevention being better than cure. I think sometimes, unfortunately, it's the kind of thing that companies leave until the last minute, until, oh God, we have however many people missing from stress leave, or now we need to put something in place. But it sounds like you're kind of trying to proactively do that.
Yes, we do. For example, in our industry, a lot of people can be injured. A guy can have an injured ankle, he can hurt his back. So when that happens, we intervene very quickly, and we make sure that he gets all the treatment, the physio, the doctor, everything. We pay for everything, and are with the objective of getting him back to site and making sure that he's healthy. If you leave an employee and you don't do all of those things for him, the sore back can become an issue. Then he can eventually have to give up work, depression sets in, and all of this type of thing. So we try and intervene as quickly as we possibly can. when things happen, be it a physical injury or be it if he's not feeling well or whatever it might be, with just early intervention, and make sure that they know that it's completely private and confidential, with the objective always of them getting back to work and getting healthy again.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, is that, yeah, regardless of whether it's the physical or the mental health and safety is really paramount.
Yes.
And I think Matthias was just putting into the chat just that he's quite interested in that program. We might share a link afterwards. I think if you Google "I am here," what was maybe the person's name?
The lady's name is Caroline. I forgot her second name, but her name is Caroline, and she's the managing director of the "I am here" program here in Ireland. She's very good.
Yeah, so we can have a look at that and maybe and pop it into the chat. But yeah, as well as that, and anyone who does have other questions, you know, you can feel free to pop them in, and we will come to those as well. But yeah, Emma, you mentioned there about, you know, the guys might not say necessarily, oh yeah, this has really helped. I suppose you're kind of in an industry where I think traditionally soft skills might not always be respected.
Yeah.
So how do you, I suppose, you know, how do you kind of cultivate that culture of needing to improve or develop oneself?
It's very difficult, because you see that, you know, you go out and maybe one of the representatives from "I am here" will try and introduce themselves, and all of a sudden you're just, you know, you're greeted with a wall of silence, because they're looking at the other guys to see, like, is anybody actually, what do you think about this, or, you know, so like it has been very, very difficult. But I think the reason that it's been successful is that we've just kept going with it. It's like the constant drip. So it's like the messages are being reinforced time and time again, the supports that are there available for them, they're reminded of them, you know, every week or every second week. So they know if they're not feeling good, they know exactly where they can go. There's ambassadors within the company that have done kind of a higher level of training on the "I am here" program, and they put themselves out there as mental health ambassadors, and the guys and everybody in the company will know who those people are, and it's completely private. So that if they go to that person, you know, that person is the signpost for the help that's available. Just they're not trained to offer counselling or anything, but they're just trained to signpost. So that's worked really well, but it's been a long journey. Like, it's just been a constant drip.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, it sounds like it is definitely, I mean, it's showing up in terms of your surveys, in terms of people feeling like that their well-being is valued and that they matter. Are there any other ways that you would kind of try to increase that employee engagement and loyalty, and kind of showing them that you trust them?
Yeah, we do a huge amount of work around, you know, performance reviews, around the onboarding that we do with them. You know, there's an onboarding program. The people that work, as much as possible, we try and get them to come to head office, and we have spent a lot of time here with them, and, you know, just chat to them, show them, introduce them to the various different people that are responsible for the various different parts of the company that they'll be needing to reach out to. Obviously salary, competitive salary, flexible working options, the whole host of well-being supports, the training, so putting them on a career path so that they know where they're going and what's in store for them if they want it. We've brought some of the guys that like would have come in at kind of like site operative level. We've brought them up through to site supervisor level, and then some of them have actually gone on to study construction technology, and are now project managers. So, you know, we try to home grow our own talent as much as we possibly can. It's not always possible with a rapidly growing company, but as much as possible, we nurture the people that are here and try and offer them career paths. What else? Yeah, definitely the well-being supports and a good generous benefits package as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. And what would you say your people kind of value most? Like, what would you say you get back from them most on that kind of feedback?
I think what I hear from people, because I'm very biased, so I'll probably, you know, but what I hear from people is basically they feel that they matter, and they feel that if they have an issue or that they reach out, that they're listened to. If things are going badly for them, we'll come in and we'll actually help. So there's very much a team spirit here, and there's none of this, like, it's not a toxic workplace in any way, because I think we lead from the top, so we don't do it at the top level. So any of this kind of politicking or toxic stuff, it's just not tolerated, and it's not the culture here. So if there's something happening, we listen, and we try as much as we possibly can to put things right and to listen to the person. So I think across the company, people feel that they belong and that they're listened to, and that it's a good place to work. And, you know, when the chips are down, that we'll be there to help them. You know, if things are going wrong, we listen to them, and we'll, as much as we possibly can, we'll try and help them and get things back on track, and try and create a dynamic, exciting place to work, you know, that they enjoy coming to, because construction can be hard, like, and it's not an easy place to work. So, but as much as we possibly can, we'll make it as good for them as we can, despite the constant pressure and all of that. So
yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I think that is probably something for, again, regardless of the company or the sector or the size, you know, just finding ways to listen to people and see what they really want.
Now that the restrictions have lifted, like, we've a lot of team building events and just touch points, and rather than having the traditional, we'd normally have a twice yearly performance sit down, performance review. With the way that the market is right now, we've been talking about it, and we just said, look, at site operative level or at site level, bringing guys in to start kind of, you know, giving them even positive, you know, criticizing them in any way that might be perceived negative, it's just not going to be taken very well. So, like, we're just, what we've decided this June, July, we're going to just literally go in, have a meeting with the site guys and with their manager and a person from HR, and just say, how are you? And, you know, we haven't seen you for so long, and how can we help you? How can we support you for the next 6 months until December? What do you need from us? Rather than, this is what we need from you. What do you need from us? So we've just kind of tried to turn that on its head a little bit and make it a kind of a more of a positive experience and a touch point, rather than going in and doing the normal review form and going down through their various skills and their capabilities. We're just not in a place right now, with the way the market is and everything, to do that. So what we want to hear from them is what they need from us. And of course, salary, we know, is going to be right at the very top, but that's the way it is right now. And there's only so much we can do. And we probably will lose some people because they feel that they get an extra euro or €2 or whatever from the next company. But the door will be open if they want to come back at some point. So we always part company with them on an amicably, you know, as much as possible.
Yeah. And I think, that's a really good point, is that, you know, even if that person leaves, you know, they might have friends or peers who they can say, yeah, that's a good place to work, you know. And of course the exit interviews as well, that's been very interesting. Like, if there is people moving, which at site level they tend to move more than they do as you go up a little bit more, but those exit interviews are just giving us great information, and we're learning lots on what we're doing wrong and what we're doing right and all of that. So, and mainly at the moment it is salary. That's why they're moving. Okay. Yeah. Again, I think a lot of companies, especially smaller companies, are seeing that. Yeah. But I think that's kind of a good point what you mentioned as well about I think, again, a lot of employers are realizing it is a bit of a two-way street, whereas maybe previously it would have been, what can you do for us? It's now, very much, what can we do for you as well? There's a really good question there from Tom in the chat. He was just asking, was there ever any kind of toxic culture, and how did you manage to regain trust with employees?
I wouldn't say the culture was toxic, but when we first took over the company, it was a family company, so my father set it up, but when we first took it over, there was a lot of legacy issues to deal with. So there was people that in places or whatever that they were just used to the way that it was. And they just, you know, when we came in and we kind of, I suppose, we professionalized it and we expanded. So everything changed, and we had to bring, either people came along with us on the journey or they didn't. Some people left and some people stayed. So the culture wasn't toxic, but there was a lot of change going on, and there was some people just stuck in their ways. So we just had to work really, really hard at trying to explain to them what we were doing and where we were going and why we were doing it. And for some people it worked and for some people it didn't. So, but our culture here is really, really, really transparent. Like the door is open. We talk to everybody. There's touch points with all of the directors here will have touch points with everybody across the company. We know everybody's name. So it's a kind of that personal touch is really, really important to us, and just staying true to our values. So I wouldn't say the culture was toxic, but it definitely, there was a time that it was very, very challenging to actually bring people along as the company grew.
Yeah, it is always going to be a difficult one. Tom is just asking there, did you implement any change management plans like lean?
We're working on that. We haven't actually done it. We've done a little bit of work with you guys, and we're just on the ISO journey at the moment. Hopefully we're going to get that by the end of the year. So it's kind of, we'd like to do more of it. And yeah, we haven't actually, I'd say that to be honest, we haven't done enough of it, but we're definitely going to get ISO towards the end of this year. Next year we'll be looking at introducing more lean processes.
Yeah, because it kind of sounds like, you mentioned about that continuous improvement attitude, which I think is a big part of it, is just trying to continually strive to be a bit better. So
always, yes. Like the way we say to everybody here, like we haven't written the book, so like if you have suggestions, ideas, feedback, please come forward and give it to us. We want to hear from you. So we listen to people and we take on board what people say, but we're constantly trying to improve what we do, and we've learned a lot. So continuing to learn.
I think that's such a good point, that nobody knows everything. Nobody knows what they're doing at the moment, because there's so much change and so much uncertainty. No one can say we're going to do it this way, that's the way we've always done it. So yeah, absolutely, I think that's a good point of having that sort of humility to say we don't know everything.
No, and vulnerability is okay. Like sometimes we say, well, we actually don't know, but hang on a second, we'll come back to you or whatever, and it's okay to be like that, I think. And at the moment we're doing a lot of work on our strategy, and like we've grown the company so much from the 6 million company that was up to like 50 million euro company, and now we're kind of right, okay, now let's all take a breath and like let's have a look at where we're going next. So and like making sure that everybody is kind of on the same page as us, because we're so busy that every time the team here, we've won another job, it's like, oh my god, more work. So we're just going to have to it's okay, we're going to be communicating our strategy to them over the next couple of weeks, and just our plan is to over resource. So we're going to recruit a lot of people so that it takes the pressure off, and then that everybody is kind of comfortable in their roles when we take the next step again. So
okay, that's really interesting, actually.
So we just as a company, we've decided to overstaff for a period of time, just because we've had quite a lot of pressure in the growth over the last couple of years. So we just need to be able to take the pressure off some of the staff and like let everything settle down while we kind of take the next step up to the next level of turnover, or expand into maybe more countries or whatever. So
okay, brilliant. That's really encouraging to hear, because again, I think it's something that a lot of companies talk about, like, oh, well-being's important, but then they have one person doing the job of 3 people, so I think that's a really good, sounds like a really great strategy to kind of over resource a bit.
And just at the end of the day, we just say to them, listen, if you're stressed out all the time and like it's just not worth it, like that's what we just say to them. We need to just get it, we need to show the staff how to deal with the workload, how to delegate, how to manage people. And we try and take as much stress away from them as we possibly can. But a lot of the people that are stressed are, maybe managers that have kind of moved up through the ranks but haven't quite developed their people management skills yet. So they're still stuck in a place where they can't delegate. So we're trying to kind of come alongside to support them and train them and develop them so that they can actually learn how to be less stressed. Because watching your staff, under pressure and being stressed out, that's not the kind of company that we want to be. We want people to come to work and feel energized. Pressure is good, but not all the time. So
absolutely, brilliant. I was just looking in the comments, and Matthias was saying how he's from Norway, and he was saying that those wellbeing policies are almost non-existent. The process of reporting workplace wellbeing cases is quite bureaucratic and takes too long to bring up. So he was just saying it's brilliant to hear that you guys are handling it in that way. And he was also saying that about change management in the company. He was saying, in your experience, what would you say is the best way to implement changes? Would you implement change straight away or over time? How do you communicate those changes to make it as smooth as possible?
Okay, so at board level, we decide what we're going to do, and then, you know, that would filter down to the senior management team, and to make sure that everyone has buy-in at that level. And then, you know, oftentimes then we'd have like, maybe, you know, through COVID, we'd have like an online town hall meeting where the whole company come online and we tell them what we're doing. Now that things have opened up again over the next couple of weeks, we're going to like meet various different groups of people and tell them exactly what we're doing next and how we're going to do it. So I suppose, and then not just for the kind of the directors to be doing that, but also for each senior manager to be able to be clear about it and to communicate it to their teams. So it filters right down from the top down, right down to the site operatives, because it's the site operatives that can sometimes feel that it's a kind of a, there's the office and there's us. So we have to do a lot of work and trying to, like, you know, fill that void so that they are aware too, because they're our foot soldiers, like, and they're the guys that are actually out there doing work. So it's really important that they know what's happening. But obviously what we might communicate to the site teams might be slightly different than what we might communicate to the design teams or the commercial teams. So we have to sort of alter the tone of voice depending on the team that we're talking to, but the message will be consistent throughout. So it's just the communication thing. I think that's what's one of the most important things to make sure that you do, you know, communicate clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, like what you mentioned about listening, you know, is really important as well. Like I came across a case study where they were talking about that, and people kind of feeling, oh, we don't need this change. And sometimes the kind of instinct is to go, no, you do. Here's all the 100 reasons why you do need this change. But what can sometimes be more effective is, okay, well, you know, what are you seeing? And then getting them to kind of tell you their side of it and their story. And then the people are kind of coming up with, okay, yeah, how can I do more? How can I, you know, make even more change?
Absolutely. Like even with, you know, kind of trying to bring in different systems and different technologies and softwares and everything, you can get a huge amount of resistance. Like, so, you know, sometimes you can nearly sort of drain yourself by telling them that this is the way to go. So like you said, we're now trying to say, well, how do you think that we should deal with this? Or what do you think? Or, and then oftentimes then that way they'll kind of, you'll get them to come around a little bit more. So we're trying to like frame things in a more positive way, I guess.
Yeah. And kind of saying, okay, well, what are the things you say don't want to be spending time on in your job? Okay, well, here's a change that could take away that from you, you know, like
exactly.
The asking them, and then exactly. Yeah. And you mentioned there about, you know, trying to kind of the talent mostly being homegrown, but then also needing to recruit as well. How would you say, like, what's your hiring process like? Like, how do you kind of communicate to the job market?
Well, first of all, obviously the job description has to be very, very clear and very detailed so that they know exactly what it is that they'll be doing. We work with a HR company at the moment that are helping us to kind of package and market ourselves in a more sort of, we've been so busy like that, to be honest, we're probably sticking up job descriptions and advertising them here, there and everywhere and going to different recruitment agents, and it's all been a bit sort of kind of hectic. So we're trying to like streamline that a little bit more, in that, you know, we're starting to use a platform called Hire Hive. I don't know if anybody is familiar with that, and that'll actually literally put the job out onto like various different platforms, and it's kind of a one-stop shop for receiving all of the various different CVs, for screening them. And it's, you know, whatever team is hiring has access to that system. So that I think that's going to work really well. And we're trying to move away from the recruitment agents as much as we possibly can. Obviously, sometimes we still have to use them, but if we can try and, you know, build our employer brand a bit more and become more streamlined in our recruitment processes. I think that's our aim anyway. So yeah, obviously the very clear job description, advertising in the right places, having your pushing it out across social media, and then when the CV comes through or the application comes through, dealing with it quickly, getting back to the person, organizing the interview, giving them feedback. I try and put a huge amount of effort into that. And if they don't get the job, basically, you know, making sure that, you know, that they understand why and all of that. So
yeah, I think that sounds really valuable, especially anyone who's ever probably applied for a job. You know, there's a lot of people get that negative experience of they just get basically ghosted and don't get anything back from the people, or they just, it's unclear or it's drawn out. So yeah, I think that those are really good points about not leaving them waiting too long, again being clear and still keeping that sort of positive image in their mind of your company.
And the other thing that we're just doing at the moment is we're training everybody to interview properly, creating interview scores and all of that. And that's probably quite basic to a lot of people, but to us, we never did that before. So it's to train. There's probably 6 to 8 people in our company that will interview. So making sure that they're trained and that the interview process is consistent, no matter who it is, and that the person that we're hiring fits in with our culture and all of that too, because we have a tendency here to start talking about, you know, fixings and bolts and systems and all that, and then forgetting about asking them about the person. So because a lot of our staff are very technical, but they'll forget about the people bit. So we're just trying to make sure that everybody's on the same page when it comes to an interview.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because then it's making it more likely that you are hiring the right person for the job the first time, you know, so you're saving yourself cost and hassle down the line if, okay, they knew all about the technical stuff, but yeah, what about who they are or how they can handle the job? Yeah.
We've also done a good bit of work lately on the metric around how much it actually costs to recruit. So when it comes to retaining staff, how important it is. So we're just working on that actual figure, and I think we'll probably have it next week, but I'd say we're going to all be quite surprised. Every time we lose a staff member or something happens, this is what it costs us. But a huge amount of work even into, like, you know, when we take on staff, we send them on medical screenings, and, you know, we make sure that they're fit, because a lot of the guys, project managers, are hopping and off and on planes and moving around a lot, and they need to be very fit. So everybody gets a pre-employment medical.
Brilliant. Yeah. I'm hearing it sounds like a lot of kind of proactivity, you know, in terms of looking after people, or in terms of, you know, just trying to avoid the future headaches maybe, you know, in all those different aspects. But yeah, I think that's a really good idea as well in terms of having metrics, because if it doesn't get measured, it doesn't get managed, or, you know, so yeah. And I suppose, do you have any other sort of tips or suggestions for companies, say if anyone here is kind of struggling to hire or keep the best talent, any sort of tips or suggestions you'd have for them?
When people leave, is it, or to?
I suppose any companies that maybe they've been trying to hire for a particular role for a while, or maybe they'll hire someone and then they leave, and, you know, obviously some of that's out of control, but any sort of tips or suggestions for companies dealing with those kinds of challenges?
I suppose maybe just try and see it objectively. I think sometimes you're so involved in your kind of day job and your company that sometimes you just need somebody to come in and give you that little bit of objectivity and just say, look, who are you looking for? Who is the person? How are you marketing it? And we have to do that sometimes too. And sometimes the job descriptions and the ads that we put out there are so boring. And we're not even telling the people the good stuff. We're forgetting to tell them all the good stuff that we are doing. And we're just expecting, like, you know, that they look at the job ad and go, yeah, that's great, I want to go work for that company. But we're forgetting to tell them all the good stuff, and, you know, the great place to work and why we're a great place to work, and just to package it up and market it properly and make sure that you have, maybe if you have to reach out to an external company to help you do that, I would definitely recommend it. Because we're so, like I said, we're so busy here that sometimes we can't see the wood for the trees. So objectivity is good. And
Brilliant. Yeah. And just in the chat, Caroline was sharing that she highly recommends Albatel HR consultancy,
Okay.
that they handle recruitment as well. And she's saying lots of expertise there.
Albatel, is it? Albatel?
Yeah, ALBATEL
Okay.
HR.
Yeah, thank you.
And she was also saying it'd be interesting just to hear how you measure that cost of someone leaving, like say even losing the expertise and, so I don't know if that's
very difficult. We're just working on it at the moment, but I mean, a lot of it is intangible, isn't it? Like, so,
yeah.
But you can very much see it, like if we lose a certain person and the key to a certain project, it has a very, very material effect on the project, because that knowledge, the loss of knowledge creates a vacuum, and then it can hamper project, progress and everything. So it's a figure that we're looking at, and I think we're going to be quite shocked when we see it.
Yeah. Tom was also asking, what's your opinion on introducing bonus payment schemes for the people that have remained in the company?
Definitely. Well, we already have performance bonuses in place right across the company. What's difficult for us, what has been difficult for us, is building the KPIs and the metrics attached to the performance bonuses. So we're doing a whole body of work on that right now. But sometimes the metrics or the KPIs aren't really, they're more or less part of the actual role. We've tended to be kind of, rather than do it properly, we've kind of been sort of doing it just to nearly keep people. So, but we want to stop doing that, because the bonus shouldn't just be an entitlement, it should be earned because they achieved various different targets. For the project manager roles, it's quite clear, you can set the targets quite easily, but as you go into different areas of the company, it becomes quite difficult. So performance bonuses have been great, and we pay them out in December, and it does definitely help to retain staff. But in our experience, we just have to do a huge amount of work on the KPIs and the metrics. And as we've been so busy, we've hardly been able to do that. But that's an area that we really need to improve on. And I think that's really important, so that it doesn't become an entitlement, and that everybody's clear on why they're getting their bonus or why they're not.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Alex is also wondering, how important do you think regular team building is to retain good talent?
I think it's essential. Absolutely, really, really essential. And just with COVID, it was so frustrating. Like a lot of other companies, we were trying to do online quizzes and all sorts of things, but it's just not the same. Just face-to-face interaction, that making your staff feel that they're heard and that they're seen and that they're listened to. So I think it's really, really important. And it can be just really simple stuff. It doesn't have to be very complex. Like, we're just even going out for a meal next week, and we have the site teams all the time. We have, they're as much as they possibly can. We're getting them to go out for dinner, and we're getting them to meet up with each other, and we get them to encourage them to play soccer matches or whatever it might be. Just, it can be really simple things, but just so that you can bring your teams together as much as possible. And now that COVID is hopefully behind us, we're doing a huge amount of work on that.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay, great. Ted was just sharing there, he was saying the more that he hears from you, the more evident it is why you've won the Great Place to Work for 3 years running. So many organisations don't focus on the topics she has raised here. A breath of fresh air. Nice one. Oh. Congrats, well done.
Thank you.
So thanks, Ted. And Matthias is also just wondering for a little bit more about what's involved in terms of the stress management programme that you mentioned.
Dealing with the staff stress levels.
Yeah, he was saying, you mentioned that your company has a stress management program available.
If that's the I Am Here program, I think maybe Matthias is referring to, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Basically, it's very simple. You can do the online training. They call it tribe training. The guys are all absolutely sick to the back teeth of it. It's like, oh, here I am here again. So they go online, they do this 1 hour kind of tribe training, and it's all about just getting people to be aware of how they're feeling on a certain day, and if they're not feeling great, that it's okay, and that they can reach out to various different people and what they can do themselves to get themselves back on track. So that's the first stage of it. And then everybody here, even at onboarding induction stage, they all do that training. So everybody in the company is a member of the I Am Here tribe. And then if they really like it and they feel that they're in a good place to go and do the ambassador training, they can go and do another course. And I Am Here will sometimes deliver to the company face to face, or you can do it online. So once that's done, then the company has like we have a portal so that you can go into it and you can see all the ambassadors across the company, and other staff know who to reach out to should they not be feeling okay. So and then there's various different touch points that I Am Here. We have a meeting with them every fortnight and we run through various different things that are happening. So it's I think it's excellent, to be honest. I'd be happy to share their details with everybody or anybody that wants to know more about it. Carol Ann, the managing director, would be happy to talk to anybody if they think that might be an option. But I'm just giving you that's my experience of it. It's been really, really good. And the likes of Sisk, if you're familiar with John Sisk, the very large builders, they use it as well. I think PJ Haggerty's are using it too. So it's gaining a lot of traction here, and there's a huge amount of companies in Australia. Mining company Woolworths have had great success with it. So it's proven to work. But it's not a thing that you can kind of just flick a switch on and it works. It's just been kind of very sort of constant drip, kind of keep going with the messaging. And the emails and everything come out to the guys every single week. So it's just like, I am here. We have all these like little QR codes everywhere that you can scan in your van or even in the toilets or in the office, that if you're not feeling great, it brings you straight into the portal and you can see where you can get help if you're not feeling good.
Brilliant.
So,
yeah,
good.
I think that's a really good point, is just that aspect of, sometimes it's kind of a sense of, okay, I know I'm not great, but just not having it clear in their mind of what the next step is. You probably want to lower that barrier for them to find.
And it's okay. Like we work in a very, very macho industry where guys are really, really tough sometimes, and they just don't like even to hardly even speak to each other at times. So it's been a huge it's been a very different thing or different way for them to think that it's actually okay if I don't feel okay. And unfortunately in our industry, a lot of the guys at site level, they'll drink a lot. And it's the highest, I think farming has the highest level of suicide, and construction is second to that. So as employers, we felt that we had a responsibility to do something about this. And we're not professionals, we're not psychologists, but we reached out to I Am Here to try and help us with it. Yeah. And it has worked.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I'm just conscious it's coming up to 12, but thank you so much. I think there's been lots of positive comments there in the chat of people finding it really interesting, and just really good to see as well that there are companies out there who are taking all of these efforts and putting those plans in place and being proactive. So thanks so much, Emma. I got a lot from that.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
No worries. So I just wanted to signpost then for what our next events that are coming up. So Veronica is just going to pop 2 links into the chat. So we mentioned that there's a people and a process side of Never Mind the Buzzwords. What we're talking about on the 29th of June is basically about sustainability. And I know a lot of business owners and leaders know that it's valuable to make their company green and sustainable, but there is a lot to consider and there is a lot to balance and tackle. So in our next session on the 29th of June, we'll be helping you to address some of the common challenges that businesses face when it comes to improving sustainability. For example, dealing with different mindsets or complexity or measurements. So if you join us on that day, we'll be discussing sustainable development goals, and we'll be giving you these 4 key tools to innovate and redesign your business. So again, as always with Never Mind the Buzzwords, it's free to attend. So we'll be helping you with that. And then on the 13th of July, the next one for the people side of Never Mind the Buzzwords is keeping calm for highly focused productivity. So if you or anyone you know has been struggling in terms of staying focused, being productive. If you have been feeling overwhelmed or experiencing anxiety, or you know someone who is, then this will be a really useful event to attend. And we'll be joined by Caroline Cunningham, who I can see is on the call there. And she'll be sharing her own experiences, you know, in terms of burnout and then becoming more resilient, and sharing strategies and tips to help you achieve that greater sense of calm and focus and productivity. So really looking forward to that. Just as well, to signpost your ways of keeping in touch, you can join our LinkedIn group if you search Never Mind the Buzzwords. If you scan that QR code, it'll bring you to all of these links, and we'll have them in the chat as well. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Eventbrite, and we have a mailing list as well. So I'll finish up there, but I'll hang on for another couple of minutes in case anyone does have any more questions or comments that they want to share. But just want to say again, thank you so much to Emma for taking the time out to share her experiences. Thank you everyone who joined, for taking time out to develop your business, and for developing yourself. But if you have any questions or comments, would love to hear them. You can drop me an email or connect on LinkedIn. As I say, I'll hang on for another few minutes, but for anyone else to drop off now, thank you so much for joining us, and thanks, Emma, and hopefully we'll see most of you at our next session then.